Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nurse Talks Hockey. So, today I want to talk about something I posted on my meme account that everybody knows about. Let me do one thing real quick. Perfect. Alright. So, this is not like, the post didn't do too great. It only got 131 likes. But, yeah, it's my standings predictions. And some people liked it, some people didn't. I got quite a bit of not so great comments about this list. So I want to go over it and explain why I think these teams are in a position that I put them in. And we're going to start with the Metropolitan. So, in the Metropolitan, I have the Flyers in dead last. I think it's pretty obvious why they're in dead last. I mean, They want to get Bedard. In 7th place, Islanders. The Islanders didn't do anything to upgrade their team, and that's a big issue. They signed no big names. They were in the hunt for Johnny Gaudreau. They were in the hunt for Nazem Kadri, but they didn't get them. And you have to try and find a way to get other players if you can't get those players that you really want. Their team is really old, and it's players that I don't think can live up to the challenges that they faced last season, that they're going to have this season. Now, I know last season was a bit weird because of their new arena, but that's not an excuse to not do anything. They fired Barry Trotz, which I think was a mistake, because Dobson really needed Trotz there. Trotz is such a defensive player, like a defensive coach, that it was really a nice breath of fresh air to see on the Islanders, because they have great offense, but they have better defense in my opinion, and that defense was being shown pretty well with Trotz, but now it's Lambert. We'll see how Lambert does. At 6th, I have the Capitals. There's a couple things that I did not like the Capitals doing. One of them was getting rid of both Samsonov and Vanecek. I think Vanecek is very underrated. I think Samsonov, he need new scenery, but I don't think Darcy Kemper is the right choice. Darcy Kemper is not that great of a goalie. He won the cup, yeah, but it wasn't because of him. It was because of the team around him. There's not great defense on the Capitals overall. And, with Backstrom out, I just don't see how the aging Capitals, are going to find a way to make the playoffs this year. So I had them at 6th. At 5th, I had the Columbus Blue Jackets, and they missed the playoffs. It's a new team, with Johnny Gaudreau being added and Bjorkstrand going out. I don't know if I really see them getting higher than 5th in the Metropolitan. They are a great team, but there's still young players in the team, Adam Boqvist being the main one. And Laine's injury issues and the fact that he just cannot keep going at the pace that he usually goes is an issue. Johnny Gaudreau. My issue with Gaudreau is that he's not with his old teammates. He played with Monahan and Tkachuk for so many years. And now it's not there. They're not there anymore. So I don't have any faith in Gaudreau's ability to just instantly be as good as he was on the Flames with the Blue Jackets. I don't have any faith in that because not many players can do that. But I think it will happen. I don't think it'll be this season. I think it'll be next season. Once he gets used to his teammates, Laine, I don't know. I don't even know who will be on the line with them because they don't have a center. That's another issue. They don't have great centers. I would guess that Jenner would probably be the first line center, but who knows? So yeah, Blue Jackets at 5th. In 4th, I have the New Jersey Devils. Getting Nemec in the draft was a great choice. They have Luke Hughes as a prospect for them, but I don't think he's going to be like a top prospect like Hughes, like his brother Quinn was. But, you know, I really like Nemec. I like the way he plays. And I think that once he grows, he's going to be a great player. That being said, Alice, you're okay. That being said, they have a lot of young players. Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes. They have Jesper Bratt. They have Luke Hughes, I think I mentioned earlier. They have Blackwood. They have Dawes. They have a lot of young players. And I think that this team, with the additions that they made, especially Palat, I think that could help them get into fourth place, missing the playoffs. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this season, but I think they'll be close. It'd be a very close race between the Devils and the Penguins. I don't have point totals in here because that just becomes a whole nother issue. But, yeah. So, Devils, I have going fourth and missing the playoffs. In third place, the first team to make the playoffs in the Metro, I had the Penguins. Honestly, the Penguins could go from third to fifth. I really don't care. It all depends on how their players play. Can Crosby keep defying the aging process? Who knows? Can Malkin go back to the way he was before? I don't think so. And is Letang reliable enough at his age to get stuff done? That's also a question mark. I think Jari is a great goalie. He really proved himself this season. So I hope to see him thrive this season. I just don't know if that's going to happen. I like the Smith as well. So we'll see how it goes between those two. I don't know how the Penguins could miss, but it is possible. It's not impossible. They've made the playoffs 17 years in a row now or something like that. 16, 17. So who knows? But these next two are like guaranteed playoff teams, obviously. In number 2, we had the Rangers. So it'd be a Rangers-Penguins face-off again in the first round. I mean, the Rangers have everything that they need. They have multiple star forwards. They have Panarin, they have Zibanejad, they have Kreider, and, young players in Kakko, Lafreniere, Hedel. So we'll see how that works out. Their defense is pretty solid as well. I mean, Lindgren really showed how good he is in the playoffs last season. You have Trouba, who's the new captain of the Rangers, and Adam Fox, obviously. Dallas. Adam Fox, obviously. Great player. So I'm excited to see how the Rangers do this season. I think they'll be second. I don't know how they can fall so far. And not to mention Igor Shesterkin is just a great goalie. In first place, this is obvious. They're the Carolina Hurricanes. There's no way they don't get first in the division. They are one of, if not the best team in the entire NHL right now. Picking up Brent Burns and Max Pacioretty, huge. Burns has that veteran presence. He's been to the playoffs a lot. He has a lot of playoff experience, and he made the finals with the Sharks back in 2016. And Dallas, stop looking at yourself in the mirror. And Pacioretty, former captain of the Montreal Canadiens. He was a great player for the Vegas Golden Knights, and he's in an area where he wants to be. He did not like being on the Golden Knights from the stuff he said after bebeing traded. He said the management was bad, the ownership was bad, all that sort of stuff. So I think he's really going to want to prove himself this season once he comes back from injury. They didn't really have that many big losses. I think the biggest one is probably Niederreiter. I know I'm missing somebody else, but I can't remember his name. But yeah, overall, really good team. I'm really excited to see the Hurricanes this season. Now we're going to talk about the Atlantic. I'll go a bit quicker on this one, but yeah, last place, obviously Canadians. They don't have a team to make the playoffs. They don't have a team to get past the Bruins, who are in 7th. So I had the Bruins in 7th for one reason, and that is that Marchand and McAvoy are out until either mid-December, early January. They're also getting older, and it seems like Pastrnak doesn't really like the way that the team's going. I think he might request a trade out. Who knows? But with how strong the Atlantic is now, I don't know how the Bruins can get into a playoff spot. And while 7th looks bad, they're not going to be a bad team. Dallas, they're just going to be a team that's struggling for a little bit. And with injuries, that happens. We saw it with the Canadians. So, yeah. At number 6, I have the Sabres. The Sabres, great team, but they didn't do enough in the offseason. I don't think they got enough players to really warrant going past the Wings, Senators, Panthers, anybody like that. So I had the Sabres at 6th. I think that they have a solid team with Alex Tuch and Payne Krause being the lineup full time. I don't think they're injured right now. I think that'll be great. I think Malcolm Subban can really prove himself this season. And Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, I think he might get the backup position over Craig Anderson. I would expect Anderson to be gone by probably month 2. So, yeah. At number 5, I had the Red Wings taking the second wildcard spot. I think they make the playoffs. The additions of Kopp and Perron are huge. I think it was Perron. That's huge. Perron, seasoned veteran. Kopp, very good player. Just in general, he's so underrated. And adding him is just, it's great. I mean, that's what you want. They had the team now to make the playoffs. Seider is a great defenseman. Raymond, if he can stay hot, he is really good. Larkin is still pretty young. Bertuzzi, Hronek. I like Hronek quite a bit. I can't remember if he's still on the team or not, though. But I really like the team, and adding Ville Husso was really big. I think that the Red Wings get 5th place in the division with the second wildcard spot. With the first wildcard spot, I really believe in the Senators this year. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're just saying that because the Senators got these big players. Yeah, that's exactly why I'm saying it. They got Cam Talbot for goalie, and Cam Talbot is still a pretty reliable goalie. And if he doesn't work out, they still have Forsberg. I think Forsberg is going to be great for them. They added Alex DeBrincat, which is really big. That is huge for them. They added Claude Giroux, he is always solid. He's not bad at all. He's still a very good player. And their team is just getting more and more experience. Brady Tkachuk, they have Josh Norris, they have Drake Batherson, you have Sanderson coming up, you have Brandstrom only getting better. This team is looking very strong. I am very excited to see what they do. I wish they had a more reliable goaltender, but I think it's good enough to make the first wild card. Alright, 3rd place at the Panthers. They didn't have a great offseason. They lost a lot of players and didn't gain that many. And, right now, that trade for Tkachuk is not looking that great. Huberdeau, one of the best players in the league, and Mackenzie Weegar, who's a solid top 2 defenseman. I don't like them being gone. And they didn't get a replacement for Weegar, not a good one at least. So I don't know how that's going to work out. So I have them 3rd, right behind the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning is a similar situation with the Panthers. They lost some players. They gained some. I think Ian Cole's a good addition, and adding Misnikov is kind of what they needed. But, they're not as solid as, when they lost Ruda. I think Ruda was really good with Hedman. They lost Palat, which is a huge, huge, huge loss for the Lightning. So, I don't think they get past 2nd because the Maple Leafs are just too good. I know you can laugh all you want, like, oh, the Maple Leafs good. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I do. They're a great regular season team, and I hope they could be a good playoff team. Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares. They have Alex Kerfoot. They have Morgan Riley. They have, hopefully, Rasmus Sandin can actually do something. They have, is it Brody? Yeah, they have TJ Brody, which I like Brody, honestly. They have all the pieces to be a playoff team. My issue with them is their goaltending, but I don't think it's going to stop them. Matt Murray can be good. He can be a very good goaltender. And I think they also have Samsonov. I think Samsonov is on that team now. So I'm excited to see the Maple Leafs. I think that the Leafs and Lightning could switch, possibly. I don't think it'll happen, though. Alright, next up, the Central. I had to get this done quick because I have an appointment at 2:20. It's a telehealth, so I don't have to drive anywhere. So, 8th place, Arizona Coyotes, pretty obvious why. They're in a rebuild, they're committed to it, and they don't have good players. They lost Kessel, which makes them a lot worse. In 7th, the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks are selling. Now, I do think that Kane will be gone by trade deadline, and I think the same thing about Jonathan Toews. The team just has. They have no goaltenders. They have no. They have a star defenseman in Seth Jones. They have star forwards in Toews and Kane, but 7th place is kind of where they belong. They're committed to the rebuild now, which is nice to see. They're really wanting to get Bedard, but I think that the Coyotes are cracking will get Bedard, and I'll explain why they're cracking in a little bit. 6th place had the Stars. I don't know what to think about the Stars right now. Yes, they got a new coach, but Sagan and Ben have been so unreliable. Radulov is gone. They don't have Robertson or Ottinger signed, and they have Scott Wedgwood as a backup, who I think played really well in the Stars last season. And they just don't have the team that I think could make it past any other team in the Central. The Central's a very weird division. So, yeah, I think the Stars missed the playoffs, and pretty bad too. In 5th place, without a wildcard spot, I have the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets, a solid team, but they're getting older, and I don't know how they'll do with their new coach. I want them to do well, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they have a strong enough defense. I don't think they have a strong enough offense to really be a playoff team. So yeah, 4th place, I have the Wild, who barely miss. I have the Wild missing because I think the Pacific might be a bit tougher than people originally thought. The Wild didn't really gain anything. They lost Kevin Fiala, which is a huge loss because Fiala played really well in Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, the cap issues caused by buying out the Suter and Parise contracts, I don't think it's going to help them. So I have the Wild being in 4th place, barely missing the playoffs, and it's mainly because of that, and also because Marc-Andre Fleury, I think he's going to be a lot worse than people think this season. He really went downhill last season, and I think it's going to get worse. Alright, 3rd place, I have the Nashville Predators. The Predators, their players, they're getting older. But in a good way. I think Forsberg still has a lot to prove. Roman Yossi's getting older, but he's in his prime right now. Matthew Shane played really well last season. I was really surprised with Ryan Johansson. He played quite well. Then you have Tanner Jeannot, who I think will be great. You have Tolvanen, who I'm really excited to watch. And you also have Tomasino. And Tomasino, I think, is going to be very underrated this season. Everything about this Predators team just kind of leads me to think that they are looking to win a cup with Yossi on the team. And this team, I think they can do it. I think adding Niederreiter is a very underrated signing. I think that he's going to be great for them. So, Predators, I have going 3rd, first team in the West to be mentioned for playoffs. 2nd place, I have the Blues. I mean, the only really big loss for the Blues was Perron and Husso. Other than that, they're kind of the same team. They're still a very good team. Tarasenko is going to be the only thing. If Tarasenko doesn't play well or if he gets traded, then they go down quite a bit. But I'm going to keep the Blues at 2. At 1, this is obvious, the Avalanche. I mean, what do you expect? The Avalanche are the best team in the league by quite a bit. Of course, you can argue that the Hurricanes are better than them after losing Burakovsky, Kemper. I know they lost somebody else. Nazem Kadri, but they had the best defense in the league. They're the best defenseman in the league, and they have probably the best top 6 lines in the league. So I'm excited to see the Avalanche play this season. Will they win a second cup in a row? I don't think so. I don't think they have enough firepower to really get that second cup in a row. I think it's going to go to a team that we don't expect. I could really see a wild card team getting the cup next season. I know I said that before, but yeah. All right, last division, the Pacific Division. 8th place, you would expect the Sharks, but I had the Kraken going to 8th place. Why? Because Eberle's getting older, Larson's getting older, Alexiak, I think he's like 28 or 29 now. I don't see the team really clicking the way that people think they're going to click. I like Bjorkstrand, I like the addition, but I don't think it's going to do enough for them. Gord, great player. I think he'll do well. I think that Beniers and Wright will do well together. But I just can't really see this team being a team that gets over, I'd say, 35 wins. I really don't see that happening. They could easily be 7th, but I think the Sharks will get 7th. Still have solid defense. They have solid forwards. Goaltending is their main issue, but I think they'll get that fixed. The Sharks aren't ready for a rebuild, which is why I think they're going to be in 7th. Just that determination. 6th place, I had the Golden Knights. Now, people might be a bit confused as to why I had the Golden Knights, but I have a very simple reason for it. Leonard being gone really, really, really hurts the chances of them making the playoffs. And Logan Thompson, I love Thompson, but I don't think he's good enough. And then Aiden Hill, I think is going to be the backup because Brassoy is injured. So I don't like that goaltending tandem at all. And then not to mention their defense, Alec Martinez is getting old. Pietrangelo is getting quite a bit older. I think he's now 31 or something like that. I don't remember for sure, but he's getting older, and he wasn't the greatest last season. Losing Pacioretty hurts. Knowing that players don't really want to be on the team hurts. I don't think they're going to play well. I think they'll be 6th in the Pacific. Because I had the Ducks going 5th, mainly just because John Klingberg was added. I think they also added Frank Vatrano, and I like that signing, but John Klingberg's a good addition. They really solidifies that defense, and they could put him with Jamie Drysdale, because I think that Klingberg's a left D and Drysdale's a right D. But I really like the addition of John Klingberg. I like the fact that they're going in, they're not forcing a playoff run right now, but I think they get the second wildcard spot, because I just think the Central's too weak right now altogether. I think the Ducks can push and get the playoff spot over the Wild by 1 or 2 points. 4th place, I had the Kings. Adding Kevin Fiala was huge. My main issue is that Jonathan Quick is going to be not that great next season, I don't think. The aging process is very weird, and I think it'll hit him. And Cal Peterson's just not that great. I thought he'd be really good for them, but he's been really bad. Byfield, I hope to see his game get better soon, but right now he's not looking that great. I really hope he has a bounce back year this year because I really like him. But, overall, I think the Kings still have a playoff team, but I think it's going to be a wild card team. 3rd place are the Flames. Main thing with the Flames is that they're a very good team, but with so many changes, I think it might be a bit difficult to get used to. And, I don't know how they could really... I could see them getting 2nd place, because when I did this, when I really thought it out, Kadri wasn't even on the team yet. I made this list a month ago, and Kadri wasn't on the team. So I think you could probably switch the 3rd and 2nd place team, because in 2nd place I have the Canucks. But let me finish talking about the Flames real quick. Huberdeau and Uyghur, great additions. My issue with them is that their defensive strength is great, but their depth on forward is kind of iffy. Only because of age. It's a little bit iffy, but I think it'll work out. But I like their defense a lot. Goaltending I like a lot. I would guess Wolf gets a chance at the backup spot behind Markstrom. So yeah. 2nd place, I have the Canucks. The Canucks added Ilya Mikheyev, and I think that was a great addition. And they have a lot of young players that are looking to make their way into a roster spot. Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, Quinn Hughes, all great players. Podkolzin, how am I forgetting this guy's name? Anyways, this guy that starts with an H. Hoglander, that's what it is. I really like all of them, and I think under Boudreaux, the Canucks were going to be like a top, like probably second place in the division if Boudreaux had taken over at the beginning of the season. But with Boudreaux, I think they'll hit second place or third place. It doesn't really matter to me where they land as long as they make the playoffs, and I think they will make the playoffs. Now, first place, this is obvious. The Edmonton Oilers. This is another team you can argue with to be the best team in the league. Ken Holland decided to wake up. It's like Lou Lamoriello and Ken Holland switch places for the year or for the offseason, because Ken Holland has done a lot. Re-signing Puljujärvi and Yamamoto. They still have to re-sign Evan Bouchard, but I don't think they'll have an issue with that. They got Campbell. I really like Campbell a lot. He may be inconsistent, but he's good enough to lead a team to the playoffs. I think he'll do well in the playoffs because he did this season overall. You still have Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman, that Evander Kane. You're signing Evander Kane for a pretty good price. Everything that the Oilers did this season just made them better. And I really do think that the Oilers have a chance to win the Stanley Cup this year. I predicted a Lightning and Oilers Stanley Cup with the Oilers winning in 6. I still see that happening. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I have to get ready for my appointments. But those are all of that's my standings. Write it down on a piece of paper if you want to know like exactly what I did. But yeah. If you don't agree with it, I don't care. But anyways, thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later.